don't know me, my name's Dan Gurney. I'm the president of PE Group, right? And I really want to present today a bit of a journey on how we got to this, because obviously I didn't just think of this yesterday and poof, here it is. It's been a journey to get to this point. So I want to share that with you. I will be divulging anything and everything about this. I'm not holding anything back. We'll see the numbers. Obviously, there's way more numbers behind the numbers. There's way more analysis, way more everything. So, you guys got questions, please do not hesitate to ask. I'm happy to answer as we go along. So, a little bit about me. That's my family. That's my why right there. This is a family business. My wife is my partner in life and in business. She is the quarterback at the office running all of the finances so that she keeps me in check, to be honest. I spend a lot of money. She definitely keeps me in check. She's phenomenal. I would not be here if it wasn't for her. And obviously, those are my two kids. Amazing. That picture was 2 years ago. And it's sort of humbling to look at that because Patrick is now above my shoulders. And you see your kids every day. And so you don't notice how much they've grown, but I got the kids right here on me, and Emma's already on my chest. So those two are absolutely amazing. Gave them a nice kiss this morning before I left. They were obviously still asleep because they get to stay up and no school. All right. So a little bit about P Real Estate Solutions. We founded the company in 2015. I had a bit of fun designing the logo on paint. Okay, so that's why you see that there. Luckily, we had it revised in 2020 to its current logo itself. So P Real Estate Solutions was really designed to be a company where we're fixing up properties. Whether we wanted to keep them for rentals, whether we wanted to flip them, that was the intent of P Real Estate Solutions at the time. It wasn't even actually intended to be a professional gig. It's no real side hobby incorporated, and it definitely obviously morphed into something drastically better. By the time 2018 came along, we had so many projects going on that we decided to open up our own construction company. And to be selfish, it was a self-serving company. It was only working on our projects. We've now extended P Construction to be able to work on others' projects as well. And so we're not just doing this for ourselves, we're doing this for others as well. Yeah. What's very exciting is that over the last essentially 12 months or so, we've brought in two more companies. So P Property Management was brought in. So I've hired many property management companies in the city, but I've always found that there was something missing, right? They're not focusing on the investor side so much. They're more focused on the headaches. They want to get rid of the headaches, but they're not helping you grow your portfolio. And that's why when I looked at this, I want someone to help grow my portfolio. So we brought property management in house for the sole purpose of managing it the way I think it should be managed to help grow someone's portfolio. Just like when you go and grow your stocks. A lot of people can do it themselves, right? I'm not one of those. I know nothing about it. So I go to a financial advisor, right? I get some help. They're there not to just manage, they're there to grow my portfolio. That's what PE property management is. And in 2025, we've since opened up also State Realty. Okay. The brokerage itself is really designed again around real estate investments. And the idea there is when I don't think there's a brokerage in the city that focuses on real estate investment. Mostly brokerages, and you got teams that focus on real estate investments, but this is an entire brokerage that focuses on real estate investments. So when you're looking to grow your portfolio, really state is there. The realtors are coached to help you grow your portfolio, help you analyze projects as they go along. Yeah. Uh, I'm going to go through a quick little examples. This is how it started. This is a project, you're just fixing up properties. Gives you an idea of how we got started. Actually, I can't say this is how we got started because this project here had $40,000 in chemical remediation needed. There's no way I did that right off the bat, but this is a 2019 project, right? Uh, I'll use this as just simple concepts, right? Where you're taking an old building, creating it, beautifying it as you go along. A nice whole kitchen in your wow, it's really bright and light there. Well, if it was really dark and bloody, so either way, um, that's what we did for a while. But I want to take a little bit of time to explain a bit of our journey. Anybody who's just about anybody has their ups and downs in life. I can appreciate that a corporation or business has the exact same. Okay. So we started off in 2015. Had a bit of a sophomore slump. I bring up this nice Normandy project. Jen helped me sell that project. We spent so much time on it that we forgot about business. So a little bit of a sophomore slump. So we decided to slow down, be a little bit more methodical, had a lot of good growth in 2018, 19 by focusing on a lot of smaller projects. Get the foundation set up. And something really, really cool happened in 2020. I'm not talking about COVID, by the way. Yeah. In January of 2020, we were actually approved to finally get bank funding. Right? So it took us about 4 years into the business to finally be able to get bank funding on our projects. And again, remember, I'm now working on this full time. I'm self-employed. Banks don't like that as much. So in 2020, I was able to get bank funding. Why this is really important is because over the last 5 years, we've learned and grown with the banks to understand what they need so that they can fund this project. Libro's funding this project right now and to fund the rental afterwards, right? And we would not be able to continue if we use private funding for this. The numbers would be drastically different, right? We'd be having partners in place, and sometimes it's okay, but the numbers are a lot different. They're a lot harder to work with, and it's not really conducive to growth. And we've had the time and ability to sit down with the banks often enough to be able to learn what they need. Right? We're not trying to get them to do what we want. They're not going to work that way. Banks are very rigid that way. We need to learn what they need, and we basically design our business that way so that we can grow. Um, Obviously, everybody knows what happened in COVID. We had a big spike. Everything is great. You know, every single mistake that we did in the company was sort of completely hidden by the fact that the properties were just sell for whatever dollars. But 2022 gave a little bit of reality check to everybody and us included. The only reason why I would argue we survived is because we were not overly leveraged. And it's something that I would strongly recommend to just about everybody. Real estate is not a today game, it is a long term game. Okay. Something else that really cool happened is at the deck 2022, maybe a little bit earlier, we started to realize that the the flip market wasn't really that conducive to the business side of things. What was really working well for us was the rental side of things. And I'm sure you guys know there's a really high demand right now in the market for the edges. That demand is expected to continue. I'm going to knock on wood on that one, but I'm fairly certain. Obviously, I don't have a crystal ball. So when we're developing, there's a lot of developers out there have paused a little bit. Okay, you don't see a lot of new homes being built from all this. But at the same time, rental developments are they're getting developed right now. There's a lot. I'm on the standing committee, development and heritage standing committee right now, and there's a lot of projects that are rentals that we've approved and we're going through. So we started to actually develop rental properties. So we've done a lot of new ADUs on our projects. I still have about 4 or 5, maybe 6 ADUs on my current portfolio that I would add ADUs to that I will be eventually doing so as well. And we started to actually also develop new buildings. So I want to go through a couple of really cool ones before we get into Giles' direct. So the first one I bought off of him. I'm glad he's here. It was fantastic. Actually. It's really cool. So I bought 871 Palettes. It is a property that's actually a through lot. So it actually fronts onto Palette and onto Arthur. Okay. And I was able to actually it's a city that I recommended it. Cool. Oh, yeah. When you have great relationships with a city, they actually work with you. To actually build another, they wanted another duplex on the Arthur side. We convinced them that we were able to do a semi-detached on the Arthur side. The reason why I like semi-detaches over duplex is top down, right? Top down. Semi-detached side to side is that semi-detached didn't have a backyard. It's more family oriented. Sometimes you get better tenants that way. Up down, not always the case, right? So I can get better rents on a semi-detached. What was really cool about it though was that eventually I was able to sever these lots. So at that point there, it no longer became rental worthy. It was actually just literally just a house that was worth more selling. So we've got one last If anybody wants, by the way, this is still on the market right now. This one's over 450. This one's on the market for 450. It's available. Realtors, if you got clients, please. So, and it's really nicely done, really beautiful. The condition, the way we've done those ones, we did all our flips from before then, and it's almost the same equation we're using when it comes to these as we go along. So, another one, and it's great to have people here because now Yusuf actually built this one. This project in Amherstburg was a single family home. And what we did was we actually severed the lots right along the side of the house and turned it into a center. Now, I know they don't want that all the same, but you can appreciate we pulled the top off entirely and we extended on and put a whole roof on top of it. Yeah. And what's cool about this one is we sold this part here. There was not, it didn't meet the criteria for having added ADUs, so we couldn't add any ADUs there. But we still own this side because this is one unit, that's one unit, and we had a detached unit ADU in the back. Right. What we also did, just because we wanted to work at the town, and you're involved now in a lot, was that we wanted to make this still look like a single family home. So there's not that many people who know that this is actually 4 units in this, right, in total. That was a really cool aspect. Very sustainable material. We got the hardy board in place, still bristol, and things that tenants should not be damaging too much. So that brings us to Giles. Yeah, so people ask me what I purchased it for. I purchased it for $490. Have you guys noticed the date I purchased it at? Anybody notice what's so awful about July 2022? That is the worst time to ever buy a house in Windsor. And massive crash occurred in 2022. Luckily, we bought it at a discount. That's what I thought. Maybe I just bought it at a retail price. In the end, I remember when the appraisal came in, I'm like, son of a gun. Okay, yeah, I got, it's not what I was expecting. The basement height here is 6 feet. Now, these are a couple of details that I'm bringing up because I want you guys to know this. Because we're going to walk into a basement that is not 6 feet anymore, and I want to show you guys how we did that. Okay? It's something I recommend you guys do in your investments because, man, it's getting expensive. This is way better off. Okay. Lot size 37 by 137. The reason why this is important, the depth, obviously, if anybody's had a chance to poke their head in the back, obviously it's a construction site back there. The masons are going nuts, but you'll see that there's enough room there for some good parking. Okay, that's how we were able to convince the city that we are going to be doing 6 units here. We had 4 parking spots in the back, and there's a lot of ample parking on the side. Now, the zoning here was RD 2.2, which only allows for 4 units. Okay. So my original plan was to put just an ADU. Someone convinced me, no, put 4 units, even though the width is only 37, you can just get minor variances. It'd be a great width with a 4. But being on the Development Heritage Standing Committee, I noticed that the city's really pushing to get more housing, especially in the core lanes. When we showcased that we had the parking in the back and we showcased that there was parking on the side, parking was no longer an issue. The lot itself was, well, you've got a fourplex next 2 doors down. This whole area is really geared towards multi-units. So this flew through the city pretty easy. Okay. Not quickly, but easy. So we were able to rezone this. We had to rezone it to 6 units. So there's actually a process to this. How it goes. I'm going to bring a few people up to explain this as it goes along. So I'm going to pretend as if you guys are all in full screen as well as this aspect. So you're going to speak to that way. When we bought this property, we wanted to grow. We want to grow our portfolio. That's what we bought this property for. Okay. So often enough when people are looking to grow their portfolio, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to go and get some help. And that's where State Realty comes in. Now, obviously, we bought this property before State Realty came about, but it's realistically the same people that were in the office at that time when we bought this stuff. So we analyzed the property, made sure that it was something that made sense for us. Not anticipating a market crash, we learned what to look for moving forward. Right, Nathan? Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. So once we figured out we got this property, and now we noticed that there's a growth potential. Okay. The next step out of that is to get into some development land. And that's where PE Real Estate Solution comes in. This is over the years, we've become very good at really planning a project through the whole process, through the rezoning and getting it to the permit process. And there's a lot of steps in place. I'll go into that a little shortly. So once the permits are done, obviously it's time to build. Right? I hope I'm not surprising you guys on the next one. That's where PE construction comes in. Okay, that's quite obvious on this asset. Now, we're not landlords here, guys. We're investors. The difference is landlords, they're created themselves another job. We're not landlords. We're investors. And we hire other people to do the work for us so we don't have to work. That's the whole point, right? So in this case here, after the building's done, we get property management in place. Okay. As I mentioned to you guys before, we brought it in-house. The reason why is because we don't want the property manager just to manage our properties. We want them to help us grow our portfolio. Okay. So that's where obviously PE problem is in. Now, your property's properly managed. What's next? You look for your next growth, right? So you can appreciate the cycle keeps going. And the cycle keeps going for us because we've got 4 more projects on the go. And I'll do a quick little review at the end of those 4 projects that we've got. All right, so let's talk about development planning. All right, so specifically, I'm going to talk about this project. This is what you guys are here for. All right, so at 926 South. First step, you got to go through the zoning for 346. So we hired a planner, made sure that the planner said, yes, this is a good project to do. Okay, so they're not, you don't get their support, that pretty much kills it. Right off the bat, okay? So it made sense. And we went through the whole rezoning process. It's not as simple as I'm going to make it. We could probably have a whole conversation, a whole hour, 2 hours on just that whole process. But I'll argue rezoning is simple, not easy. Right? The city, the planners, they'll walk you through the process. Just it takes time. It's simple, not easy. We also have to create construction drawings, right? You're working with your architects, your engineers, your consultants to get your actual construction drawings set up. So that's next is you need to obtain permits. Okay. And I can assure you that the city wants to give you permits, but some people over there seem to sometimes not really, they've got a bit of a god complex. Okay. So you got to work with them. You need to. Sorry, they have the upper hand. So you work with them. So and getting the permits is not always that simple, but when you got a good plan in place, they are happy to work with you. The intent, the city staff is not there to really screw you over. You really do want to work with. And finally, you think, okay, I got my permits, I can just get it off a construction company. I can assure you that that is not the last step. And we need to have a good scope of work. Your contractors need to know not only what they're building, but they need to know the little details. Because the architect's not going to give you the little details. All right. A full, good, detailed scope of work, identifying all the little details is crucial. That's something that we learned from the very get-go in 2015. Going through it, getting a really good detailed scope of work, like exactly what flooring is going in, how you're installing the flooring, what orientation is going in the floor, the railing, the guardrails, every little detail that you think an architect has that's the contractor's going to have a question on, you want to have that answered in the scope of work. Right? So a few things that I want to share a few lessons that we've learned over the years, and especially on this project here. One, rezoning takes time. Okay. We were quoted, Nathan, if I remember correctly, was minimum 6 months, up to 9 months. No, 9 to 12. And that's not an easy project. Okay. Don't get fooled that it's going to be a quick project, quick, easy. That's not going to happen. Plan for it. There's nothing wrong with that. It's okay. Just plan for it. Okay. So we got a couple of them that are going to be going definitely over a year on the rezoning process, and much larger projects, multiple years. You need to review the architect's work. Where's sorry, Brad? Hey there. I just had a good conversation with you. I apologize. I don't know your name. No, this is good. Brad's an architect. We were having a bit of fun about the architectural drawings. Architects, they're generally pretty good. In this case here, I think they pawned me off on their youngins, but they actually design wise, layout wise, I think they did a fantastic job. So I didn't have to bet much, to be honest. We were part of the process, but I think they did really well there. But the other details, they like to spend my money and they like to make your buildings look nice. But tenants won't pay the extra rent for it. So let's just say you gotta really check out their work. Matt and I keep having some oh my god, I can't believe you did this moments every week
On a daily basis.
daily basis.
I can help with that, by the way.
There you go. But it goes beyond just the architectural drawings. You need to now optimize your plan. I call it value engineering myself. Um, Optimizing is possibly better because we're not just trying to save cost, but we're trying to also sometimes we'll spend a little bit more money because we know we're going to get the returns for. But that is crucial, extremely crucial. Now, I've got the next slide to explain a little bit more about that aspect. And honestly, I mentioned it. I'll mention it again, and I might. Well, I don't mind sounding like a broken record when it comes to this. Get yourself a good scope of work. And I mean a detailed scope of work. If you think the contractor's going to have a question about that, don't say, I don't know if you will or not. Just put it down. Put the details down. Okay. Get that really well set up. All right. So, optimize engineering. I'm going to speak specifically to this site here. So, you got to also put the dollars in the right place. In this case, here as an example, on the outside facade, we will have a quick look when we walk outside. We'll see that there's brick that goes up to about 8 feet off the ground. From there, we're putting vinyl siding on. Okay. I don't want to spend money on hardy board on this project here. I knew that I wasn't going to get my money back on it. But I also don't want to put vinyl siding all the way to the ground because I know that my tenant's going to ruin vinyl siding. So I need to make sure that I'm actually putting money where I know it makes sense. Okay. So this wasn't something that was going to get much more dollars worth, although brick does look nicer than siding. Right, especially the brick out there looks really fantastic. Masons are doing fantastic work. But we want to make sure that we are actually putting the money where it's going to really help the overall project. You want to lower the construction cost. Okay. Shoot, I have an example on the left. Okay. Matt, good example of lower construction costs?
Planning.
Oh, that's the planning side of it. Yeah, of course. That's what I'm talking about. Thanks. Appreciate that. But as I mentioned to you guys, architects like to spend your money. Okay? I had an architect tell me that, yeah, it would be about $320 a square foot. I built mine, but I can probably get down to about $290 a square foot. I can tell you right off the bat, we built this at $290 a square foot. That kills the product. Okay? Architects like to make it look great. Well, for us, we need to make sure that it's more geared towards the tenants. That's our final part. I'm not living in this. If this is my house. I got to listen to what my wife wants. She shouldn't tell me I'm the princess, but that's okay. And that's actually true. Yeah, I'm not lying. It is true. But the point being that you got to understand it's not what you want. So what the architect wants, it's what the tenant wants. Okay. Don't go and spend money where it doesn't make sense. Okay. You want to create predictable increases in rents. Now, this is I actually wrote this out and then I changed it and I added the word predictable. You can put a lot of features in there that a tenant walks in and has that wow feeling, puts the money down, rents the place out, and then over time realizes that, oh, that wow feeling really sucks, and they leave. The biggest cost to any landlord, investor, sorry, I'm not going to use the word landlord anymore. The biggest cost to any investor, okay, is when your properties are vacant or damaged. And that occurs when the tenant does not like this space. So when you're putting money as a sizzle feature that's really just trying to get them in, recognize that they're not going to want to stay for that sizzle feature. They might pay extra up front, but they may not stay there. So we want to put money where it's predictable. All right. A good 2 examples that I have is, has anybody walked down these stairs? All right. These are 4-foot wide steps. All right. I think at North we almost have 5 feet. Nice and wide. You're coming home from work, you're tired, you want to go walk up narrow stairs that are 3 feet? No. You want to come home, be comfortable, right? So all our stairs, I do minimum 42. I love the fact that these are 48. That's why I said I think the architect got that right. My next project that I'm going to showcase on Ford, I've got steps that are 5 feet wide. What's that? Right, for 5 feet. Our kitchens, we put quartz countertops on. Now we could put Formica, right? And that actually would be almost just as durable. but that extra cost allows them to really feel good about the property they're in. We put crown molding on our kitchens because you know what? It's. I know that's a sizzle feature, but it's a homey feature. You want to be here with that homey feature as well. Storage, okay, the layout. Those are where you want to really create predictable increases in the rents. Okay, don't just try to trick your tenants because you will lose in the end. Obviously, you're decreasing the maintenance. Oh, I figured out my lower construction cost example. Just popped on my head. HVAC. We originally planned to put magic packs in here, right? We realized that we can save $30,000 on this project going with heat pumps. It will not decrease the quality of life of the tenant. Will actually potentially decrease their utility costs. And so we saved $30,000. And by the way, we're saving a whole lot of space as well. A tremendous amount of space. Yes, by the way, that's a air handler that's tied to a heat pump. So we can do that in the upper units. So there's actually no heads. The lower units also will have heads on the walls. Okay. So that just tremendously saves us cost and space. That was a great example there. Decrease in maintenance. Obviously, when it comes to kitchens, I do not put laminated kitchens in my units. They're all painted, solid wood painted cabinets. People think that's really it costs a lot more. Source it up, guys. It's not that high. It's really, I get mine from Toronto, and it costs me typical kitchen about maybe $2,000 more. And I get a kitchen that I know the tenant makes it look absolutely horrible. I just wipe it down and it's gone. It's great. Okay. I don't get the thermofoil peeling up, the heat, all those problems. Another one is flooring. I don't put cheap laminate flooring down. I don't put good laminate flooring down. I don't even put floating floors. I don't like potential of bouncing around. Right? We put glue down vinyl. Right? We sourced it to get something that's a good product at a reasonable price, but we spend a little bit of extra because we're trying to reduce maintenance, long-term maintenance. If you put glue down vinyl, take a piece off, put a one on right back. I don't have to tear the whole place out. One last example. I'm putting turf in the front of the still. Okay, that's going to cost about $2,000 more. But if I put grass, one, it will never look as nice as turf. Two, I got to pay somebody $30 every week or two. So I'm going to make my money back in 2 years. And in 2 years, I still have to pay more on my maintenance or I have turf. So those are things where I will put the money where it makes sense. All right. So we're going to go on the construction side of things. In this case here, I'm going to invite Tom to come up. There you are. His experience will speak for itself. There's a reason why I brought Tom on our team because what we're doing, we definitely need to step it up. And I could not do this with just any run of the mill project manager. So, Tom, take a quick second to explain who you are and what you're doing.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tom. I'm the project manager here. Push slide there. I'm from the GTA originally, and I moved down here rather recently. I got over 20 years in project management, from doing complete subdivisions to commercial, industrial. I've done the whole scope of that site pretty well in my bag. And I managed, since I there over 200 million projects. I stopped honestly counting years ago. I have no idea what that number is today. That's just what I know I've done. My strength is in organizing and trying to make the process as automated as possible, with basically the execution of using software, using project management in respect to trying to make things go as seamlessly as possible. Obviously, if anyone's been on a job site, things do get kind of wonky sometimes. The weather is one that will, mess with people. So you have to kind of make things fluid, but also try to stick to a game plan. That is the balancing act of being a project manager. And where I've come is to help out, and to where my strength is when there's a problem, I don't panic and I keep calm and I try to find a solution to it. It's not about, coming to Dan going, oh, we have a problem, we have a problem. It's coming to Dan and going, okay, we got this problem, but here's 3 solutions. What do you think is the best option? Right. So there's ways to go about this. So right.
No, that's it. No, that's right.
That's pretty much myself in a nutshell. I enjoy doing this. it's fun because I get to see different projects. I get to jump on site. I'm not just in the office. I get to interact with people, and it's fun. And that's the way I think it needs to be because if it's just doing one thing, stuff in a cubicle, you're gonna lose your mind. So that's kind of where I am and how I'm here to help. If anyone has any questions about the project, feel free.
I want to emphasize something quickly that we have here on the slide. I've been doing this, like you mentioned, since 2015. When you're doing flips, you tend to want to find cheap contractors, and you're hoping for the best. And so you think, okay, I'm going to keep them accountable, right? Well, guess what happens? You don't end up getting the results you want. You really don't. So what we decided to do instead is we decided to actually create a program. So he didn't speak nearly as much as what he can with what he does in the office. Right? We've got scheduling in place, fully detailed scheduling. We've got contracts in place, every single contractor. And we actually have him in the office. We have Matt on site full time. Okay, why? Because we help our contractors succeed. There's a difference between keeping them accountable. Obviously, we have to keep them accountable. Guys, you said you're going to get it done by this date. You need to get it done by this date because the next guy's coming in right after. But we help them achieve that. We don't just let them go. And by helping them achieve that, you'll find that your contractors want to work with you. They give you great work. They give you good result, good timing, and you actually get a decent price that way. But you're helping them succeed. So that's the difference with what we've set up. When it comes to projects like this, it's not very common to have a project manager in the office. It's not common to have someone on site. And with honestly, okay, Tom told you about these $20 million projects, $200 million projects that he's managed. Matt's managed 20 to $40 million houses in the Caribbean. We don't just have guys who just build houses. We have guys who have built stuff. And they know what they're doing here. It's absolutely rewarding on my end. Thanks, Tom. But, okay, so
Thanks, Tom.
obviously the next step on this one here, once we got this built, okay, we've gone through the whole construction. As I mentioned, we're not landlords, we're investors. We want to get through the property management side of things. Before I bring these up, she is going to mention about how, I don't want to say exactly what you're going to say, how property management is actually not just, hey, we're going to manage your property. It's involved from the beginning, okay? Because I need to know what tenants are going to pay. I need to know what tenants want when I'm planning this, not after the fact. So while she's coming in now, getting in there, it's time to lease. She's here from the get go. So Lisa, well,
So, good morning.
well,
One of the things that I hear a lot from landlords is how they want to save money, so they want to manage their own properties and their own tenants. Um, and so they end up just hanging in there, and they'll acknowledge it that they're struggling a little bit. But unless you can deadpan at 2 minutes and 39 seconds, like I can, I highly advise that you get a property manager. My name is Lisa Vandella. I've been a property manager for 9 years. I have a portfolio of managing over 1,500 rental units, to over 300 landlords in the Windsor Essex area. Although we launched PE property management this past November and we are smallly in the city, we offer a different approach. So our approach is investor focused. I take pride in the work that I do because I genuinely enjoy sharing knowledge and educating others. So in my role, I got to educate not only landlords and investors, but as well as tenants. And I genuinely enjoy helping landlords grow their portfolio. So the focus in terms of how I manage properties is one, it is the tenants that allow us to get paid both as the investor and as a property management company. We always want to make sure that we hear our tenants. So I use a online portal that allows both landlords and tenants to have access. So if you're a tenant in your home and you're dealing with an issue, you can literally take a picture of video of the maintenance concern, upload it, and I will contact you. I'll try to troubleshoot with you, teach you how you can fix it. Otherwise, I'm going to take the appropriate actions to get it rectified for you. If you're a landlord, I make their life easy because remember, this is supposed to be passive income, right? It's not your 9 to 5 job. I'm sure you have that already as is. So you can log in whenever you'd like to. You can see what is in work orders. are visible for your property. You can see if you have any tenants that are behind in rent. So that's a little bit about me. Next, in terms of the 926 Giles project, Dan already touched on it, but he said he discussed about optimizing engineering. It is really important to get your property manager involved in this overall process. It just helps to save money. Always put your vision out there, talk to experts. I really believe that you get a lot out of that. So when you do that, we can engage in a conversation to recognize what are things that tenants want in their home so they can put your dollars into the things that you need to do at the property rather than just guessing what you think your tenant wants. And we can have a discussion in terms of the value you can collect from the property. So in this instance, we ran numbers and we estimated that we can lease this property with all 6 units at approximately $12,400 to $13,000 on the high end. The role that I play in this is that we design criteria to obtain quality tenants and to reduce maintenance costs. Respectfully, I'm not in the business of just managing the property and just taking care of it. I'm trying my best to educate the tenant, educate landlord, but also help reduce maintenance costs. If you have been in this business long enough, I think we can all acknowledge that maintenance costs quickly add up. So things that I do, for instance, is I automatically conduct quarterly property inspections. So every 3 months, we will have somebody on site doing preventative maintenance. Yes, it's the tenant's job to change the furnace filter, but if they don't know how to, what a great opportunity to empower somebody in that first 3 months of their tenancy. Take the moment, show them how to do it so that they can do it moving forward. I don't think anybody ever wants to have to replace a furnace because we allow the furnace filter just to accumulate dirt and dust. So preventative maintenance is huge in managing your asset and growing your portfolio. And I'm just waiting for all of this planning to be done, the construction to be done, so that I can roll it and execute the things there. Okay?
Thanks, you said you made a really great point when it came to even just furnace filters.
Yeah.
Okay. It's the same concept as we did with contractors. We want to help them succeed. We want tenants to help them succeed. We want tenants to enjoy this space. If the tenants don't change the furnace filters, what do? Keep them accountable? Strains the relationship. Obviously, you want to a little bit, okay? But it strains the relationship. They don't like you. They don't do it. The furnace goes awry and doesn't help the landlord. But instead, what we do is we go and we actually let the tenant know that, hey guys, we're gonna come in. If you haven't changed the furnace filter, no worries. We're gonna come in. We'll change it for you. They know they're on the hook for the furnace filter itself, and we don't charge them for the actual install. It's again, we're just trying to have everybody succeed. We're not putting the hammer down and saying it's your job. We want overall to realize that we're trying to get a successful result in the end. So that's a really good point that you just brought up. All right, now this is the moment you guys actually were all looking for here. So I accept that you guys obviously wanted to look at the project. It's the growth. Okay, when it comes to the growth, what you do in this case here, we're talking about planning development. Planning development's not numbers. Planning development is you've already done our numbers. Now let's start planning for those. Okay. In this case here, you have an idea, you want to grow. Maybe the idea for us in this case here was to take a duplex, turn it into a sixplex. How do the numbers look? Okay. So for that reason, we bring Stake in. And in this case, I'm going to have Nathan speak. Before I bring him in, Nathan's here. I've known him for about 3-4 years now. He started off on the acquisition side. It's funny because this was his dream job, and I laughed. Who likes doing this? But Nathan is an absolute whiz when it comes to the analysis of properties. Real estate investment is essentially his bread and butter, his passion. So I used to sleep with my baseball glove in bed. I'm sure you slept with numbers and stuff. And that's how I saw him by. But anyways, what I like to do is have Nathan come up here, and I like to have him present himself and obviously present the numbers in the analysis of this product.
Hi, everyone. As Dan was saying, my name is Nathan, and I'm the broker of record at State Realty. Take you a little bit through kind of who I am and then about the project and the numbers.
Do you want this?
I'm sure, why not? So I got into real estate unexpected. So I thought I was gonna always be in investment banking until a friend of mine who I lived with came home one day while we were doing our 4th year of university and said, "I got a job being a property manager after school." I was like, "That sounds fun." It's like something I never thought about. And he's like, "Well, they need somebody else." I was like, "Okay." So I went, found out very quickly I do not like property management. I like the leasing side and the people interaction on that side. But it was a great learning experience. After a year, I went to Japan, came back, got right back into real estate, got my license, and went that direction. So, about 14 years now, licensed for 11, 12, somewhere around there. Started off in commercial, doing solely commercial, no residential, 4 years of that. Zoning, commercial, raw land development. We did about a $30 million development land deal up in Barrie area. And Brampton, we had some new plazas. Barrie, we had new plazas, leased them out. My passion, as Dan was saying, is real estate investing. And more particularly, when I came in and I was talking to Dan about coming on his team, he's like, "Why do you like this?" I was like, "Well, I love zoning bylaws." And talking to him 3, 4 months later, he's like, "I thought that was a joke." It's like, no, that I truly enjoy that. I enjoy optimizing sites. I enjoy problem solving, being creative of kind of what we could do with different scenarios. And let's get into this product. So, as you can see here, 926 Giles by the number. So purchase price here, 490,000, approximately $10,000 in transaction costs. Planning here, your soft costs roughly around $90,000. And then financing, 60,000, construction, 1.05 million, meaning for this, we were all in 1.7 million. Where does it take us? So appraised value of this project after it's done, 2.122, and the HST rebate. So for this one, we looked at the purpose-built rental housing rebate and should be able to obtain about 100% back on that. Gain of 2.2 million, meaning $500,000 of equity in there. Let's go through this. So as I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with the BRRRR method, buy, renovate, refinance, repeat. This is a lot larger scale of that as there's a construction side to it, but very similar type of strategies. Financing here, 75% LCV, meaning we're going to be able to get $1.59 million back, plus the HST rebate I was mentioning of $80,000. That brings us to 1.67, construction cost 1.7, meaning we're still going to have $30,000 in the deal. Plus the equity that's also been created in there too, which is an increase of what we had in there originally. Growth. So this will kind of show you where we were and what, after the sixplex is done, where we would have been repositioned. So money in this duplex originally, you were looking at about 132,000. With that, about $122,000 worth of equity. Of course, the 132 accounts for transaction costs that had to be incurred. Cash flow at that time, $325. Principal pay down, $760. Capital gains, $1,430. And before I kind of move on, I want to kind of touch on what Dan said. The importance of the right tenants, ones that pay and ones that maintain your property, ensure that those two numbers, the principal pay down and the capital gains, are predictive. Yes, you'll still be paying down your mortgage. However, it's a lot nicer when it doesn't come out of your pocket. And your capital gains, it's nice to know that your asset is being maintained and it's not diminishing in value as the years go by. There's still the appreciation, but the condition definitely counts for a lot. Bringing the total to 24.6% return on the duplex. Now let's look at the sixplexes numbers. So money in now, rather than 132, we're at $30,000 in. Equity in now, we're at $530,000 in equity. Cash flow, now $900. Principal pay down, $3,430. And capital gains, $6,109. Numbers, percentage-wise, are very similar. However, as you have a larger, more units, you're able to have larger valuations, which make all the numbers much larger. And that's an estimate based on the lower rental rate that we were discussing earlier. So yes, if you were to maximize your rents here, you might be looking at around $1,530. However, we were conservative just because we want to be able to make sure it's the right tenant, not the right tenant that's willing to pay that money to come in and possibly cause issues. So with proper screening, proper property management, that we're able to make sure the right person comes in. However, we've got a low and a high, and we know we'll fall somewhere within there. Oh, and I meant to mention that that's per month.
Leave it there. Leave it there.
Okay.
Leave it there for a second. I want to take a little bit of a moment to just emphasize a couple numbers here. So first off, 24.6% on your portfolio return. Is that pretty good? Okay. This was actually one of the better performing duplexes because I've been selling duplexes that don't perform at that number. Okay. So that's pretty good. Really actually pretty good. And Nathan mentioned it. Guys, your cash flow. Everybody's always all about cash flow. Cash flow is important. You don't want to come out of pocket. You want to make sure that the banks get paid. But cash flow is important. But it is trumped by the other numbers. Massively trumped. So it baffles me why people focus on cash flow only and property management are hired to just focus on cash flow. Why are we not focusing on the other two? Which are drastically there to numbers. Remember, we're investors. We're not. This is not a job. We're not trying to get paid off this right off the bat. This is a long-term gain. Okay. Now let's move over to here. Okay. By the way, as we increase rents on an annual basis, whatever it may be, I don't maximize my rents. The reason why I don't maximize my rents is because I'm gonna have tenant problems if I do. Right. And the dollars I get is not gonna be that much better. This is what I really want to focus on. Okay, $10,000 a month. $10,000 a month on just this one project. You can appreciate that changes the journey that you're going to take in real estate. Just this one project alone. Not to mention the $500,000 in equity that you just gained. Okay, so I want to really emphasize that. All right, so now that you guys see these numbers, once this project's done, I'm not stopping. We're continuously going. We're growing. We're going further. Okay. So before we get moving on, just take a look at the property. I want to give you guys a few projects that we're working on as well. Because we're always learning and growing ourselves. We want to push the envelope. We'll keep doing these types of projects, but we're always trying to do better and better and better. All right, so first off, we've got this, a few of you guys maybe follow me on Facebook. I posted a few comments about this project already. This on Ford, this is a parcel of land that has two lots on the parcel of land. And what we're doing together here is we're actually building two triplexes on each side. Nearly identical. I'll tweak the design a little bit to make sure they're not perfectly identical. And the nice little trick is that there's going to be a driveway through to a parking lot in the back, which you can't do a parking lot on two separate lots, but technically it's just one side and the other side, you just have to touch on each other. Little trick. I love that I don't have to go through rezoning on this one. This one here, we expect to start building. I hope to put the permits in maybe in about 3 weeks from now. 3-4 weeks from now, get permits for this. The application for permits and actually start building in about 3 months. On Bing, we are tearing down a house and building a 6-unit complex. So this is brand new, ground up. Okay. I've already designed the layouts, but I'm definitely going to get a BCIN to finalize the drawing on this one here. Pretty simple. I'm learning a lot as we go along on this one here. This will be a 6x like this, but literally from the ground out. Finally, we've got two projects. Like I said, we're going to keep pushing the envelope a little bit. We've got two projects, one on Watson, one on Liberty. Excuse me. Both of them, this is about the concept. So I've got one drawing there to both. The concept's going to be very similar on both. Where on Watson, the city said, Dad, dial it down to 8 units because you don't really have the parking. There's 10 neighbors' complaints. So we work with the city on that one. Liberty's got all the parking it needs. We're going to keep it as a 9-plex. So, give you an idea. This is 1 unit for 8 units, or it's 1 unit for 9 units. It's really the same thing. But that gives you a sense that we're not just stopping here. We've got the pieces in place. We're going to keep growing, and we're hoping that you guys have the opportunity to come along with the journey with us as we're growing. Ideally, you guys can start on your own journey. We can help you guys out with that as well. So with that said, guys, want to appreciate that little presentation. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer them now, or we can definitely answer them as we go along and take a look at a couple of things on the property. Okay. Yep. Any questions? Where's Mayor? She would have a question. Oh, she's sitting down. What's up?